Buffalo's Hook, and I'm not sure where they've gone from there, but I would have thought that she would have tried to caught up with the pride, but it seems as though she's all on her own by herself, and I'm still not convinced that there is another female with cubs. I haven't seen any evidence of it. We haven't seen any indication of a female going back and forth from Simbambili Elephant Plains, where the guys say that there is cubs there, or that they think there are cubs. We haven't seen any evidence of that. And also, at the end of the day, if this female brought her cubs across, I would have thought that the other female would have done the same with hers and brought them with these small cubs, and then they could have left them together. But it seems as though there was only tracks for 2 cubs, unless this other female only has 1 cub and she carried it all the way, which I would be very surprised, because Simbambili to here is a very, very, very long way to carry a cub. It's not a small distance, and while lions are strong, I would imagine carrying cubs for that amount of time must be quite tough to do. So I don't know if she does have cubs. It'll be interesting. I mean, I don't think Amber Eyes is the one that's been missing from the pride, and so maybe she does have cubs. I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult thing to know unless you actually see for sure, and you see suckle marks, or you see some evidence of her actually with cubs. It's very difficult to make that assumption. Now the problem is where the sticks have crossed is that it's far away, so it's going to take me a bit of time actually to get into that area. I'm going to have to do a little kind of cutting through the blocks and moving, and I'll probably have to quicken the pace a little bit. I'm still driving fairly slowly just because, well, I was scanning around for that lioness, but given that she's no sign of her, I think we'll just try and move a little faster. What we are going to do though is just going to quickly have a look at our Senegal lapwing and the eggs that are here and see how these are going. The impalas all on my right hand side. Hello impalas. Right, where are the eggs? The eggs are here. Yep, the eggs are still there and still in good condition, all 3 of them, so nobody's raided the nest and nobody's given any worry about these eggs just yet. So she's done a good job, or he's done a good job at keeping them safe for now. So there they are. It's amazing how camouflaged these eggs are. There you can see them just in the bowl of the nest itself. So still 3 of them and still looking absolutely perfect, which is good. I always worry about eggs in these areas with the amount of animals that move around here. You would expect that they would get stood on, but I suppose lapwings are very good at making themselves known and try to get these impalas and wildebeest and all the other things that walk around here away. Right, well, eggs are still whole. We'll keep monitoring them over the next little bit and see if we can find them when they hatch at some point. But while we do that, I believe Scotty D is meandering through the East African wilderness on his last drive, and is not with the spotty characters he's well known for, but a rather tall one.
Is this not a wonderful view of this big bull giraffe? Wonderful. He's salivating. You may notice a little glint of saliva blowing in the wind, and they will salivate when they... Usually I've seen them doing it when they're feeding on plants that can be a little bit toxic. I've noticed it when they feed on the tambur tea trees down in South Africa. And there's some more boys, not as big and impressive as he is. They've got a few passengers. I wonder if the animals find it soothing when the oxpeckers are on their body. I know when they start digging into their ears and nostrils, think about having a little practice fight for us. Come on. We don't very often get to see giraffe necking. And even though it would just be playful with these 2 youngsters, it would still be wonderful to watch. It's kind of like a slow motion swinging action. They're the ones thinking about it. There we go. What I've noticed, and I never realized giraffe actually did when they are fighting, is they'll try and lift the back leg up with their neck and then get it over their shoulder and onto their back, which can kind of disable their opponents. They can cause enough damage to it to obviously collapse their opponents. A friend of mine saw that and got an incredible video of them fighting not so long ago. And then I saw a photograph that another photographer had taken quite recently of a similar thing happening. This is such a cute little safari car that drove past. They've kitted out a very small car with a few rows of bench seats in the back. And that was one of the wardens driving around, making sure everyone's behaving themselves. The Mara police. Wonderful. Hello, Proud Cat Mama. You'd like to know how tall is the average male giraffe? Tall as an average, but some can be slightly taller, some slightly shorter, which is essentially 3 door frames high. 3 regular door frames on top of one another will get you to eye level of a giraffe. It's a long way up. These guys aren't quite there yet. And if they continue to a bit more fighting like they are now, slowly their little ossico. And I mean, even though they're just playing, this guy knows they use their heads like big battering rams to try and disable their opponents, but right now it's clearly nothing too serious and they're just sizing one another up. But all useful motions to get used to for when there is a more serious these are at stake. I love the way it looks like it's happening in slow motion. Well, things seem to be heating up a little bit. I wonder if these guys are going to get carried away with one another. Long these guys have known one another too. If they've grew up in the same herd and then when it was time to move away from their mom, then they may be stuck together, or maybe they've got to know one another more recently. Cool. Now you can imagine when 2 big bulls are really going for it, it must be quite an affair. These guys really aren't committing. Christine, yes, it is almost like a dance. It's a very dance-like fighting style they have, and I love the way they have to stand kind of opposite one another. It creates for some beautiful scenes with their necks crisscrossing. Cases where giraffes can deliver a knockout blow to their opponent, where literally the opponent falls down and falls asleep for a short while, hopefully if there's no lion around, and then wake up a few minutes later, no different. For us, I'm not sure how often it happens, but it definitely has been documented. I'm wondering whether we should try and get a little bit closer, but we do have a good low angle here. the big daddy is about to pop in onto the scene. Maybe give these guys a few lessons. Look at how much bigger he is than them. Whew. Rebecca, you'd like to know if the fighting ever breaks their ossicones. I've seen one with like a bent ossicone, and I'm not sure if, I don't think it's possible for them to break. They're just too short. So there's not that kind of leverage of the longer horned antelopes that can help snap them off. So I've never seen any with broken effect. You'll also notice there's a few other bumps, one protruding in front of the two, and then there's another two bumps behind. I don't understand how exactly they come into the picture, because the main two ossicones are, I'm told, vestigial limbs of where giraffe possibly would have once had horns, and then as their need for them decreased, so did the length of them. I guess the keratin also fell away, because now it's just fluff covered around those bony protrusions. Marvelous. All righty, well, I think we're going to head on. I want to see if we can't find any sign of the sausage tree pride up and along the escarpment. So those are our plans. All right. Well, I'm not sending...
Well, I'm not sure what Scotty had to say there. Unfortunately, he froze a little bit. The internet on the Mara side has been a little bit difficult over the last few days, and I'm sure it will come right. It's just with all the rain that they've had, you know, they really are in a remote part of Africa, and so the rain causes a little bit of a problem, and that's why we're having a few issues over the last few days. But not to worry too much, everything will be sorted, and this afternoon we'll be back to two of us and Djuma, so that'll make life a little easier as well. Right, now apparently the sticks would have come north from somewhere in this area. I'm just driving along trying to see if I can find where they've gone. I found their tracks from yesterday where they went into Torchwood. Now I just got to try and find the fresher tracks from today itself. Now I'm hoping, like I said, that they didn't go into Torchwood itself. I have this sneaky suspicion that they might have, given that the tracks go there yesterday, the cubs might be on that side, and they might have headed back in that direction. I don't know if we'll see them this side, but who knows? I mean, they might have turned down Leadwood side. I didn't see any tracks here though. No, so let's have a look. Maybe, just maybe, they're in this general vicinity somewhere. It's fairly easy to track lines in places like this. I mean, this is a big open road, so you should be able to see their tracks very quickly. We should pick them up quite fast. Christine, you're wondering if warmer weather affects wildlife negatively. Well, I mean, yes, I suppose it can. Warm weather means that often things dry very quickly and less water and less vegetation for them to feed off, and so, you know, the drought year that we had was a hot, dry year, and that's why it negatively impacted a lot of different animals. I mean, kudu, buffalo, hippos, they all died from it. We know the sticks got mange during that period, so, you know, hot weather and dry weather can definitely negatively impact animals massively. It also means that the period of activity and the amount of energy is sapped from these guys is that much more. I mean, they have a situation where, you know, they're having to deal with hot weather, and you know, if you're in really hot conditions, it's draining, it's difficult. They require more water, they require more food, and that means that, you know, it's often it makes them a little bit more lethargic and sluggish, much like, you know, the lions will be more sleepy, the antelope species will also be that way. So it's tough for them, and it's a situation where it's not easy for any of them to actually do what they need to do. Now, I don't see any sign of the six pride coming north here at all. Alright, let's just have a look quickly on Gowrie Main itself. So I got an update that they were crossing from JC Brink Pan, which is this pan over here. And hang on, what are these? These tracks go the other way, but these are not fresh at all. Just want to check a little further up here. There's another path that comes out that I just want to double check that they haven't gone into Torchwood before I triple check our side, because they might have crossed a little bit further down and might be heading towards Twin Dam side. They do sometimes take that route, so they go from that little pan and then they go a little bit to, there we go, and this is where they crossed right here. So this is, unfortunately, is where they've gone, is into Torchwood, so there's no way we're going to be able to find them, I don't think. But I'm just having a look for their tracks just to double check that this is them and that they are from today. Although I don't know, maybe these are a little bit older, but the tracks are coming down a game path on this side, and there's tracks for a male lion as well. So our male lion is here, but these are not fresh, they are older tracks, so it's not those that we're looking for. Those are not the ones. I thought they might have been, given that, you know, I suppose I haven't driven here for quite some time, so it's not those though. Those are all crispy and hard, so that's from during the rain. Okay, if these are not the tracks then that cross north, where are the ones that go north that are fresh? Let's see, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. There's a little quarry that goes this side, so they might have gone over in that direction. Let's see here. Nope. Alright, let's go back the other way then and just double check. Craig, so you're wondering how often we have bushfires in this area. Well, Craig, I mean, they do happen, but not as often as people would think. Come on, Rusty, get into reverse. So Rusty doesn't want to go into reverse at all, even though Rusty's got a new clutch. There we go, thank you, Rusty. So Craig, we don't have them as often as people would think. I mean, we do get them from time to time, and it's normally around this time of the year. So you normally find August, September, October, November is always high risk fire months, because generally it's at its driest point. So we haven't had a situation where it's too wet just yet, that the grass doesn't burn very well, and it's also a time when we get our thunderstorms. Now, thunderstorms obviously cause massive amounts of issues, because whenever there's thunder and lightning, then so you get a situation where lightning strikes happen and fires break out. So natural fires, not as often as people would think. It's I mean, the last one that we had in this area was in 2014, was the last natural fire that we had in this section, which is good. And also the thing is, with the drought, there was so little that could actually burn that last year, even if there wanted to be a fire, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. Right, now Styx Pride, where are you? I feel like maybe this is where they crossed. Don't see anything on that game path. Let's check this game path here. There's a whole bunch of birds that are complaining here, so let's just have a look. Can you see them, Sins? I can hear birds complaining on my left, but I can't see them. So there's drongos that are alarm calling. It might be, maybe there's a snake or something in the tree. Let's just go forward a little bit. There's the drongos and a few of the green wood hoopus. They're in a marula over there, and they're all busy kind of shouting and making a little bit of noise. So let's just scan around and double check what is actually happening. Maybe it's a bird of prey that is around. It could be, obviously, like I say, something like a snake as well. Just want to double check. I can't see anything, and everyone's gone quiet now. No, there they will start again. There's some of the magpie shrikes that are flying around, but it's not their normal call. So the magpie shrikes would have a different call to this. This is an alarm call of some sort. So I'm trying to just look down the tree or up the tree and on the branches to see if I can spot anything, but I don't see any sign of anything now. Maybe whatever it was went into the grass and is now gone, because they've all gone quiet. So nothing there. Also no tracks for the Styx Pride. Wait, hang on, what's this? There's tracks here on the road, but oh, come on, Rusty. Yeah, so just checking. Who likes 2K? You wanting to know, is this really live? Yes, it is, in very much so. It is live, and so we are coming to you out of South Africa, which means that you can ask us anything if you want. You can ask us any questions that you have about the wilderness areas. Now, the reason why I'm going off-road here is because there's a game path, and I want to check if there are lion tracks coming up this way. There's also a tortoise. Oh, hello, tortoise. I didn't even see you there. I just wanted to come check for lions, but we'll have a look at you as well because I like you. So here we go. There you go, Sense. A bit obscured by some vegetation, but we have a leopard tortoise that is busy walking around. Now, this wouldn't have caused the birds to go crazy the way that they were just now. Obviously, a tortoise is not a threat to a bird in any way whatsoever, but this leopard tortoise will be out and about and moving, and it's probably a good indication that maybe rain is on its way. I find tortoises move a lot just prior to rain, and then obviously after rain they're fairly mobile as well. And this would be a large female, so you'll find that the males tend to be a little bit smaller. It's obviously not 100% confirmed because you do get males of this size, but it would be an incredibly old male to be that size. The only way we'd be able to tell is if we actually picked this tortoise up and turned it upside down to see the underside of its shell and whether or not there is an indentation in there. Now, with tortoises and picking them up, it's incredibly bad to do so, and it's very poor manners to pick up a tortoise, because tortoises hold a liquid in a bursa sac, which basically is the liquid that keeps them hydrated through the winter months, because they can't travel massive distances like elephants or any of the other animals to find water. It's tough for them, so they have to have a way of hydrating the body, and that bursa sac houses that liquid. The problem is when they feel like they're threatened, they will release that liquid in a defense mechanism, and so it can cause this tortoise to unfortunately dehydrate and die. And so particularly when we have dry weather like this, we leave our tortoises alone, let them carry on and do their own thing and try and move off. But you can see the camouflage that these tortoises have. Imagine now if that tortoise just sits down and tucks its legs away and just sits in that grass. It would be very difficult for us to see it. In fact, the only reason you spot them is generally because of movement, and that's how we often find them. So it's an amazing thing to witness and to see, and the camouflage of them is very, very special, and that's why they obviously have got the name, is because they have a camouflage system very similar to that of leopards. So they've got these kind of tan colors with these black blotches on them, and that's why they have been given that name. And to ID leopard tortoises and to kind of get that way of knowing what they are, out here we get two types of tortoises. We get a Speke's hingeback tortoise, and we get these guys. Now, a Speke's hingeback tortoise will not have that very dome shaped shell like we saw on this tortoise, and it tends to have a very flat top, almost sort of flattened, and is often a lot smaller. But there we go, that's the camouflage I was talking about. It's now gotten itself into a little thicket, and it's just sitting down, and that is incredibly difficult to see. In fact, if we drove past here now, you would miss it almost for sure. I highly doubt anybody would actually pick that up if they drove past in this area now. Right, well, let's see what I can find. I don't see any sign of these lions here. I mean, it's not to say that they're not here, but I just don't see any sign of them. I'm not sure if maybe the guys have gotten a bit confused, because these tracks are not very fresh, and we know we didn't have rain last night, so ultimately the track would not be crispy if it was from last night. It would have and when I say crispy, what I mean is that the moisture in the sand, as it dries, it hardens and it becomes a lot more kind of rough, and you can push on it, and it basically the edge will crumble. Whereas when it's a situation where you've got nice fresh soft tracks from when it hasn't rained, as you touch the edge, the whole edge will just depress with your finger. It won't actually hold itself and won't crumble. It will just be kind of much softer. So those tracks that we saw just now are not fresh at all, and I don't know if the guys have maybe got a bit confused by this or what the story is, but certainly haven't found any fresh tracks to work with just yet. So I'll have to try get on the radio just now and just find out what the guys meant when they said that they crossed this way, and maybe if they had them or if they just had the tracks itself. While we're here, we might as well just check the old hyena den. This is Gwen's old den, so she's now denning up near Aubrey's, but this is where she used to be. You can see there's a little hole in there, and it's a long time since any hyena has actually used this den. I haven't seen any hyenas here for quite some time. It used to be a fairly active den, and then it was taken over by a big warthog, and that warthog obviously also was seen here a few times, and then it disappeared too, and since then I have not found anything inside of this den for quite some time. But it's always worth checking. You never know. Den sites are one of those things that could be used by anything, and so you might come along here and you might find something like an aardvark living in there, or even a pangolin or something like that. You never know. It's always worth checking these places that have been excavated prior and just seeing if there is anything happening. Right, I don't know. I don't find, like I say, any sign of any fresh tracks, so I don't think these sticks are this side, but it's worth just double checking. I'm going to go down Leadwood Road back towards Twin Dams and just have a little look that side and see. Maybe we get lucky and have some sort of sign of these guys there. They generally like to move around in these areas, so the Styx Pride often when they come in, they'll cross in from there, and then like I say, they meander through this block onto Leadwood side, and then they will go from that side. They then go down either to Twin Dams, or they go to the Mulawati, or they turn into Torchwood. So it's going to be worth just double checking around here. I'll try to get hold of the guys and just find out where exactly they had these tracks and all visual of these animals. And while I do that, let's go back across to Taylor McCurdy, who's thoroughly enjoying herself finding new species of birds, and well, now she's got herself something much larger and that I know that she really loves to spend time with, and hopefully they will entertain her with lots of interesting things.
I don't have no idea what you just said to me, Chris. I just heard live, but fortunately, I think it's a gremlins. Now, the elephant on the right-hand side, look carefully, you should see some soil all around its mouth, and that's because he's been eating the soil. Let's see if he's going to do it again. It was really intriguing. See. Soil just on the tip of his tusk, so he was using them to loosen it. Isn't it he's eating grass? And sometimes elephants and a lot of different animals, I often see rhinos licking termite mounds. They will eat soil. It's called geophagy. We watch them eat bones, which is called osteophagy, to try and extract phosphorus and calcium. And they'll do similar things with various minerals within the soil. So I wonder what's particularly special about the soil here. He must have been lacking something, and then these other two boys are just pushing and shoving one another around. Or maybe that's a girl. They've been playing quite a bit in this little lugger, and I think it must be quite wet and muddy. I think it's also struggling to move through that long grass. Come on, you're getting a helping hand. It looks like there's a little trunk coming from the rear, just giving it a bit of a boost. Oh, your ear, you're so little, your ears haven't even unfolded just yet. I'm so sorry, Chris. It sounded like you tried to say something to me. Can you send me a WhatsApp, because I cannot hear you on the radio? This way with... That I cannot understand, unfortunately, Chris. I think if you're going to ask me any questions, please can you get someone to send me a message, and then I shall answer them. I'm so sorry, I can't hear what you're saying at all, but I do know that it's something from Proud Cat Mama. So, Proud Cat Mama, your question is on its way. It'll be sent to me shortly, and then I shall answer it. And that little one staying close there, in the middle, is that a bull that's just joined, or is it another cow? No, it's another cow. And the young bull on the right. You'll see they'll be quite protective. They won't let that older bull come through and push that little one around. So Mom will try and put herself between them. And this is a different elephant now. I'm not sure. What are you doing? You're just trying to practice with your trunk. And use the luxury facilities at the same time. The fact that you've got your tail up like that. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Oh, and a beautiful lilac-breasted rollers will just flew through and past the screen in case you saw that flash of bright blue. Let me check my phone. Not for a massage. We say yes, we say weird things. No, I can't understand. Kirsta's now just tried to speak to me. I'm going to show you. Have you ever seen a... Please look at this. What does this even mean? We have to read this message. Be careful what you type now, Kirst, because I'm putting it up on screen. She's talking to me in emoticons. Have you ever seen an elephant pull down a palm tree or knock over a tree? I can't speak in emoticons. James, push over a tree. Okay, fair enough. So I wasn't too far off. Okay, that's cool. If you'd done that to James, there would have been a disaster. He wouldn't have had any idea what you were talking about because James has never used an emoticon in his life. Anyway, so Proud Cat Mama, you're wondering if I've ever seen an elephant pull over a tree? Most certainly. And we see it a lot in the winter months in Djuma, in fact. They'll often push down the trees. There's not normally much around for them to eat, either below the surface where they'll dig up roots or they have to pull an entire tree down. And it's impressive the way they can knock over marooners when they want to, especially the big bulls. They typically do it as well. We should start to see it when the marooners start getting their fruit. So February, March, somewhere around there, then you'll often, when we're on bushwalk, you'll hear the cracking of one of those trees and then and watch them feed. I would love to do bushwalks here in the Mara. My goodness, I say this all the time. It would be absolutely phenomenal. I think we'd get the most amazing encounters and see the most incredible things in amongst the forests, which could be quite cool too. Let me just check if there are any more coming through. No, that's all. Those are all the questions. I'm just going to keep my phone open so I can see. Can't believe you tried to communicate like that. And yeah, beautiful chorus of birds singing. Oh, hang on, I have to show you something else. Sorry, I got distracted. I saw a new bird. I saw a new bird, and you all need to see it too because it was really beautiful. Let me try and zoom in quite a bit and see if that angle will work. How great is that? That is called a rufous-tailed rock thrush, which is a new one for me. I was uncertain as to what it was when I first saw it, and I thought, okay, it looks like a thrush. That big eye and that very sort of straight beak. It reminded me of a hurricane thrush, obviously without the bright colours, but it is lovely, beautiful barring, and I think this was the female, if I'm not mistaken. Let me open my book quickly. Let's have a quick look here as well. Seeing that the elephant. So, oh, hang on, that might be too cute. I'll look for it while you watch that elephant as it tries to cross the road. Look, it can't come down. Oh, that's so sweet. It was 300 and something. Yes, I've got it. Very, very slippery. That little elephant is definitely struggling this morning after all the rain. And see, it's going to try and go up that little bank too. Careful, 1 foot at a time. Don't rush. Don't have to take big steps like Mum. Take your time. You've still got a long way to go. Let me check again. Well done. Seems to be very chuffed with itself now that it has actually managed to go up that little incline. Going down was a lot tougher. And I think that's obviously just because they carry all their weight in their heads, so they can't distribute it very well. Well, a big elephant is quite good at being able to do that. Little elephant, however, it hasn't even learned how to train its trunk yet. Never mind shifting its weight into its back feet. Thrush. 436. Okay, so we're on the right species of bird now. I've just got to find where it is. Wait a minute, it was a ground thrush. It was a rock thrush. Yes, here we go. Oh, it could have been an... Okay. Okay, so it was this one, a rufous tail rock thrush. Probably my hands are also very dirty. So it could have been a female or a non-breeding male. I see. Very, very pretty. When is breeding season for these birds? Does it say? Does it say? I might have to try and look for it in my bird app. Do you breed down here? No, it doesn't say it's a non-breeding migrant. It doesn't actually say anything about breeding at all. Which I don't have with me right now, and I don't know if my bird app is going to get it, because we don't really get it down in Southern Africa. So a bird that we're not going to see in South Africa. Very cool though. That was quite nice. Maybe we'll get another one. I'd never seen that before. I would never have even expected that it occurred here. I can also see Scott. He's very far away. He's sitting on the other side of the escarpment, actually. He's probably spying on me. We all know that Scott likes to spy. Okay, I'm just checking my phone again. Oh, here's another question. Should we play? Let me pull off the road. There's a car. We're going to play the game, What on Earth is Curse Talking About? So I'm going to show you the messages. There we go. Have a look. Oh, there we go. Next ones. Yeah, careful what you type. So there's a question from History. Do elephants win trophies with other elephants? Do elephants fight other elephants? Give each other elephants trophies? I have absolutely no idea, but I can see Kirst is starting to type now. Let's see what the end... I like this game. I quite enjoy this Let's Speak in Emoticon. No, neither the message is coming through. Do elephant herds ever compete with other elephants? I feel as though you could have used something a little bit better there. Your emoticon storytelling is not on point. Necessarily, you might find that that's what we actually see on a regular basis. That's normally when we see, I suppose, not sort of a negative interaction with elephants, because we know elephants are really amazing creatures and they communicate with one another wherever they go, even if they're not a part of the often it's not one super herd of 100 elephants. It'll be 3 or 4 female, seems to be a bit more dominant. She'll come in and she'll rumble, and then she ends up chasing all the other elephants away. So I suppose that's when you can get some competition, and again, feeding areas. But otherwise, they sort of talk to each other in passing. I suppose because they can communicate so far away from one another, they don't need to go up and physically greet each other. They'll just pass messages along through either. That's quite cool. I suppose it's the equivalent of waving and shouting, "How's it going?" From a distance. But isn't that beautiful, with a lilac-breasted roller, an elephant, and this bird, of course, as most of you will know, for those of you and you might not know this, is that it will be trying to catch all the insects that are being disturbed as these ellies walk past, and that's a very iconic picture to try and get. Every photographer must have either a fork-tailed drongo or a lilac-breasted roller with an elephant behind it. It's actually quite a difficult shot to get. Very patient. And there were a few of them that were flying past. We have already seen a couple fly on through. Oh, this is lovely. This is another. There were 2 youngsters. If I can get out. Just try and catch up to the little fella. Very nice herd of elephants, very, very relaxed. They're not bothered by us at all. Now, normally, I mean, you wouldn't drive straight up to Ellie's, but they've completely ignored us most of the morning, and you can see completely blasé. Even that little one, which is quite nice to see, that it is relaxing around the cars. So hopefully it will just continue to keep feeding off the herd's behavior around us and not be bothered whatsoever. But it will take some time. It doesn't always happen straight away. Yes, use your little trunk. Are you picking up all the strange smells? Oh, here's a red Very quickly running across the road. That's a new bird for me. Very cool. It is called a red-winged franklin, I think. Or was it a spur? No, it's a franklin. How does Brent describe it? The one that looks like a Shelley's franklin, but it isn't. I shall double check though. Are you going to cross the road? We might get a really cool sighting again of a little elephant trying to navigate over some treacherous terrain. Let's see if it does it. I'm going to look for the bird. What did I say? It was a franklin with an F. I don't know how else you would spell. Hopefully I'm right. I've been trying to work on my birds, everybody. It's a bit tough though. Red-winged franklin. I think that's what we saw. It looked like it. Yes, I think it was. If I was wrong, I'm sorry. What on earth are you doing? You're not even a little elephant. Get up. Stop messing around. You see, that little one did it so gracefully that it thought, I'll just play some games. Yeah. Well done, girl. That was great. And everyone else just passing by now. Up and over. Not too difficult to navigate. And I love how they're all using the same pathway too. So when you're as large as an elephant, it doesn't really matter where you walk. You just make your own way around. Oh, that's so funny. I'm reading the messages that are coming through. Kirsty's still trying to communicate through emoticons this morning. It does make everything a little bit more challenging. But you know what? I actually feel sorry for her because I feel like trying to find the right emoticon is exceptionally difficult. So, well done to you. And you've got a bit of grass growing on your back. Yeah. No, it doesn't. Of course, it's just thrown some mud and there seem to be some bits of grass in it. Sometimes they position it perfectly and it lands on their heads. It always looks like they're wearing a hat. Thank you very much. Off we go. We've let the Ailey's cross. We've given them the right of way. It is now our turn to carry on. And see what other cool things we can. Watching. Shall we spy? I'm scared to spy on Scott though. You never know what Scott's doing. Curse, please tell Scott if he's doing anything naughty that he must stop doing something naughty because I'm going to put him on camera. Actually, we might not be able to put him on camera because so if I stop, someone might think I'm trying to talk to them and then I'm live and then it just becomes awkward. So I'm just going to very, very, very slowly keep on going, and I'm going to use my hands lots now too so people can see I'm live, even though I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just going to wave them around and then I'm going to stop doing this. I mean, who even talks like that? Okay. In the side ditch, but we have got 3 white-backed vultures sitting in a tree sunning themselves and just enjoying, I think, the wind in their feathers this morning. But there they sit. Very cool. Seeing lots of birds drying themselves out today. So everybody obviously got quite damp. I don't think anyone was particularly impressed except for the birds that like to eat alates because there were plenty of them flying around during the rain. So things like drongos and the tropical bobo. Tristan seems to be bumbling about. I hope he's going to find some cats, seen as though he's the king.
Well, we haven't found anything, unfortunately, Taylor. The Styx Pride update was complete nonsense and just led us on a wild goose chase for no reason because they are in Little Gowrie at the moment. They're not anywhere near our boundaries. I think somebody saw those old tracks and thought they'd crossed north, but that wasn't the case. So we came to Chitwa, checked behind Chitwa Dam wall. Not very much happening there. Unfortunately, we did have a classes cuckoo, but it was all of about 2 seconds and then it flew away and I couldn't find it again. So that's quite sad because I know there are some of you that are dying to see a classes cuckoo, so hopefully we can find it again. I'm looking for my little 3-banded plover chick, but I can't see it anywhere. I don't even see the adults here. Maybe it's been moved to the main dam now. We'll go and have a little look and just check around there and see if maybe we can get lucky with our little 3-banded plover chick, but I'm sure it's around here somewhere. Otherwise, we're going to look for any signs of well, anything at the dam. We know the dam is a good place to go and a good place to check around. It's always worth just checking down this little drainage here. Nope, Rusty doesn't want to go that way. Come on, Rusty. And Rusty's giving me a handful this morning. I don't know why. It's sliding around a lot. It's for some reason just not doing its job. What's wrong? What's wrong, Vince? We have a puncture. Ah, okay. That's alright. We'll sort that out just now. Let's just carry on. We'll do our Chitwa Dam with our puncture because we don't really need to worry about anything if we are here and in this area because we're not going to be driving too much. But as you can see, we're at Chitwa Dam now. The light on this side of the dam is quite difficult. It's not ideal because the sun kind of comes from that area, so it tends to be quite glary from this side. But at least we can still see our hippos, and so while our tire just goes flatter and flatter, we'll just sit here and enjoy the beauty of Chitwa Dam itself. Now the hippos seem to be all packed on this side. They often are kind of quite spread out, but for some reason this morning they seem as though everybody is on this sort of end of the dam and they're all around the water hole, kind of all around this dead tree. And the reason why they're there is it's actually quite shallow, so there's a situation that it is very, very shallow in this section, and it's a place where they can sit nicely and lie down and still be covered by water. You can see there's a few oxpeckers also feeding off them at the moment. So these red-billed oxpeckers will often use hippos, not only because they do have parasites and ticks and various other things that they can feed on, but they're also a great place for a oxpecker to sit and drink from. And you can use that rather than going to the edge of the water where there's all kinds of other predators. No bird of prey is going to come and grab an oxpecker off a hippo's head if it knows what's good for it. So that's why you'll get a situation with these guys kind of being used as rafts, so to speak, and the oxpecker is bouncing around all over the place. Now the reason why I know that it's very shallow where these hippos are is because I've seen Chitwa Dam where those hippos are now completely devoid of water, so there was nothing there at all. There was at one point just sand, and that was where the edge of the dam was. So it is very shallow. They can sit there quite easily, and like I say, it's very cool. There's one that's going to yawn, a little yawn with the oxpecker on its head. I don't see any sign of Boo, our little baby, at all. It seems as though it's all just adults at this stage. I mean, there is a little one that's come up, but I don't know if that's Boo or maybe the one that Noel found the other day. I'm not 100% sure. It didn't look big enough to be, it didn't look small enough, should I say, sorry, to be any of our little ones, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll just have to have a little look and double check. Hopefully they're both okay. Either way, that both the little ones are doing just fine. I'm sure they are. Now what surprises me is that I don't see any of our crocodiles out on any of the banks. I would have expected them to be out and about, maybe because of the temperature that we had during the night and even this morning is fairly warm, that the crocs are still have retained some heat during the night. They haven't lost all of their body heat and then therefore are still a little bit active, and maybe that's why they're not out just yet and they're still hunting. I'm not 100% sure. Normally we find at this time of the morning they should already be starting to kind of come up onto an area where they can bask and get some sunshine and start to heat that body up and become a little bit warmer. But it's all very still at the dam at the moment. It's amazing that this dam can sometimes be quiet and some other days is a lot going on, and this morning seems as though it's going to be one of those more quieter mornings. I think it's because of the wind blowing this morning. There's a stiff breeze blowing into us, and maybe that's why some of the animals are not around. Now Becca, you're wondering how many tires do we go through in a year, or how many punctures do we get? How many tires we go through is not that many. We normally kind of can last on a set of tires for just over a year and a half. In terms of how many punctures we get, well, depends on where we drive and how we drive. This particular tire, I'm not sure how it's been punctured because we really haven't done any off-roading this morning whatsoever, so it's probably a slow puncture that it's had for quite some time, and with us driving, maybe a bump somewhere has just forced a thorn deeper in, or actually the thorn has come out and that's what's caused the tire to go down quickly. Either way, it wasn't a quick release of air, otherwise we would have heard it, so it's not a pinch valve or something like that. It's just probably a thorn that that's gotten somewhere and a slow puncture that's taken place. But it does happen a lot. I mean, we change tires quite regularly here, and like I said, it depends on how much we off-road and what we're following. I find that wild dogs in particular are quite hardy on tires. They tend to drag you through all kinds of things, and you tend to get a few punctures from them. And obviously following leopards around also generally is in thicker, denser areas, and you sometimes go over a sickle bush or a zebra wood or something like that, and you end up in a situation where you damage tires. So it is a difficult thing to do. It takes sort of 10 minutes or not even 5 minutes to do it. So we'll do it just now when we get going again. But for now, I think we'll just sit here and, like I say, and enjoy and hope something comes to us. I see the Red Bull buffalo weavers are very, very active at the moment, so they're sitting kind of building, and there's lots of activity of them going in different directions and back and forth. And I absolutely have a newfound respect for buffalo weavers, because the way that they construct their nest is absolutely incredible. I always thought it was just a random clump mess, and not those ones, the ones in the big tree on the left, so over there, and I always thought that those nests were just random sort of sticks all bunched together and not really much going on there, but it is actually very intricate inside there. So while it looks like a big mess, those sticks are placed perfectly to basically support not only the weight of the structure, but also in order to protect these birds, because what they use mostly is acacias, buffalo thorn, sickle bush, anything that's spiny, sharp, and is difficult to handle. That's what they've got in there, and that stops a lot of predators getting to them. And then within that whole structure is these beautifully constructed round little nests that are softly lined with nice grasses, and they'll even find sometimes feathers of birds inside there, and it is all kind of very intricately done. So it's an amazing kind of nest. And when we do our towers here, we often have issues with nests. Unfortunately, the buffalo weavers love to build their nest on towers, and so sometimes we have to remove some of those nests in the winter months just to try and, obviously when there's no chicks around, and so we don't damage any of the babies, but it's also just so that we can get to the equipment to repair it or anything like that. And trying to remove these nests is an absolute nightmare. They are so well constructed, it takes you hours to disassemble one of these nests. You kind of got to pull at it, and you've got to use these thick leather gloves that you don't get pierced by the thorns, and even then the thorns get in. And so it really is an amazing feat of engineering in nature. It absolutely astounds me at how they're able to do it. And these nests are only going to grow larger and larger and larger. The more these kind of birds come in, the bigger the nests get, and the more kind of complicated and more structures there are within that nest itself. So this tree has always typically housed Red Bull buffalo weavers, although we went through a phase, I can't remember what the year was, I think it was 2012 after the floods, that we had very few buffalo weavers around. In fact, I hardly saw them, and now it seems as though they're back in full force again. We can see them constructing these amazing nests and building and really kind of coming up with some incredible stuff. Now, while we're sitting here and we kind of waiting in order to try and get my tire fixed just now, I want to show you a very cool sighting that I had last night. Now, I was at home at Inga's, and we had this crazy cool sighting of a massive Turner's thick-toed gecko and a solifuge. Now, the Turner's thick-toed gecko, this gecko in particular, is huge. It's probably one of the most beautiful geckos that I've seen. It's got these amazing white spots on it, and then you can see the solifuge is in its mouth at the moment. And this gecko was, I would say, probably about maybe bigger than my hand. So I don't know, I mean, it was big. So if we had to put a life-size scale, it would be bigger than what my hand was. And this solifuge was probably, I would say, about the length of one of my fingers, and it had grabbed the solifuge on the ground, and then it had this fight with the solifuge. And now, for those of you who don't know what a solifuge is a arachnid, effectively. It's like a spider. It's got these massive jaws that it will sometimes show, and it really is quite amazing to kind of see them. And so this Turner's thick-toed gecko grabbed them and was trying to wrestle with the solifuge, and the solifuge was fighting. And I actually got a video of the two of them kind of moving around, and so you can see here it will start to move. So Sense, if you can kind of go in there, sorry, I've now gone too far, but there we go. So you can see it will try and shake the solifuge around, and you can see how heavily the gecko is panting. So the gecko is exhausted. It was quite a fight that ensued to start with, and this is kind of right at the end of it when I just kind of saw the sort of last part of it, and that was this short little video that I took, but they was like shaking it around, and how it managed to swallow this I'm not quite sure, but amazing to see. It's not something that we get to see every single day, and those geckos are some of my favorite. There's two of them that look just like that with those white spots on them, and they are absolutely beautiful, and like I say, massive individuals. And the reason why they're probably so big is because we have a light outside at Inga's, and the moths and insects all come to this light, and the wall itself is a very dark colored wall, as you can see there, and these geckos perfectly camouflage, and these moths just come in and they just grab one after another, and they get the mosquitoes and everything else. So they're wonderful things actually to have around. I know some people are a bit creeped out by geckos, but they are the best things to have, if particularly for mosquito control. They do a lot of that for us, and they make sure that we get a nice kind of balance and make sure we don't get infested by mosquitoes and bitten and all kinds of other things as well. So good to have them around. We do get other species of geckos in this area. We will also get Bibron's gecko, but that's not as commonly seen as these Turner thick-toads. So it's nice that we've got them around, and there's many different ones. Right, now I'm going to have to straighten up no matter what I do, because I've got to change this tire at some point. So the thing is, I can't actually go any further without changing it. It is completely flat by the sounds of things. Now Taylor McCurdy says she wants me to do it live. Well, the problem with me doing it live is that it is the back left tire, and so we can't do it live because you just won't see me for the entire time as I do it. It's not like it's the front one. If it was the front one, I would most happily do it for you guys, no worries whatsoever. So if it was the front wheels, I would do it live, no problem. It's actually would be a good thing to show all of you how our high lift jack works and how dangerous a high lift jack can be. The high lift jack is the one right in the front. Now Taylor says I'm making excuses. Taylor, you just go and find a big patch of clay soils or black cotton soils and get yourself stuck again, as you are still part of the Marshmallow Club and the last one to get stuck. So you just go and do that, and we can then all laugh at you getting stuck. But in terms of, like I say, changing the tire, there's not much I can do because the camera won't film that way at all. It's too close and it's kind of far to the back. So unfortunately not. Sorry Taylor, not today at least. Christine, you're wondering if mammals come around our camp. Well, yes, they do. A lot of mammals come around our camp. So in the camp itself, we have a couple of hyenas that come through and cause a bit of havoc. In fact, I think there was a blog post put out about it recently, and that was all about Ribbon and her antics around camp. There's a lot of bushbuck, there's nyala, there's the camp dwarf mongoose grouping that comes in and causes a bit of havoc. There is, what else am I missing? Squirrels that we have, there's Genevieve the Genet, there's all kinds of things. I've seen Tingana from camp, I've seen Shungile, I've seen Hosanna, I've seen all kinds of different little things around the camp itself. Now it seems as though we've been joined by a group of guests who are coming to see the little baby crocodiles, much like what we are about to do as well. So we're just meandering our way slowly up towards where these little baby crocs have been. I don't actually see them at the moment, although I'm sure they are here somewhere on the actual stump, or maybe on the banks. We'll have to just scan around with the camera and see if we can find anything. Let's have a look. Where are you, baby crocs? I know you're here somewhere. Ah, there's one. So there's one on the tree stump there underneath, and then there's another one on the tree itself. So that's two. Now we're looking for 3 or 4 of them. I still have not seen 4. As far as I can see, I can only find 3. Apparently there's 4 of them, but I see 1, 2, 3 again. I don't see a 4th one anywhere, so I don't know if maybe I'm missing something, but as far as I can see, there's only 3 of them. So there's one on the tree stump there, one on the bank, and then another one that Senzo showed you to the left. Now the baby crocs seem to be doing just fine. They seem to be growing and seem to be kind of surviving, which I suppose is difficult in a system like this. At the end of the day, there's a number of predators out here, and the fish eagles in particular will be eyeing out these little crocodiles as a tasty morsel. You'll also find the catfish wouldn't be opposed to going after a baby crocodile every now and then, although I think these crocs have now started getting past the catfish size, depending on what size catfish we have inside here. Sometimes we have absolutely massive catfish in this area, and they could easily swallow something of that size. So if there are some of those in this dam, then you might find that he's still in danger from them. But mostly it will just be, you know, birds of prey at this stage, so particularly the fish eagles. And then if there are land-based predators, something like a leopard might be able to grab that. You might find a genet or a civet might try its luck, but that would be a big risk, because where baby crocodiles are, often there is mommy crocodile lurking, and you don't want to tangle with mommy crocodile. So I think it's a situation where these guys probably are fairly safe, and it's why they're hanging around this particular area. Is they've got a nice little bit of structure that they can get onto, and if a fish eagle comes, they can dive into the water. If something comes from below, they're onto the bank or into the sort of thicket there. And then also you'll find that because there's a little bit of a tree, and there'll be a lot of insects that will use that tree in order to emerge. So you'll find things like damsels, dragonflies, mosquitoes, various other things that will all come into this area in order to be able to try and kind of utilize the tree to then hatch off. And so it's a good place for them to feed. They'll find a number of food items in this particular area. Also, it will be a great place for fish. Fish often like structure, and they kind of get in amongst these fallen over branches, and so when these guys are hunting fish, they'll be able to get those too. And so it's a good place for a little baby crocodile. They found themselves a perfect area. Right, well, we're going to change our tire quickly, and while we do that, I think let's go back across to Taylor Mack and see what she's up to. I believe she's feeling a little bit dazzled and confused by some stripy animals all around her.
Change your tire, Tristan. What happened? Did you drive over some thorns? Oh, shame. Tristan, also, you told me to go and get stuck in some soil. That's not very nice. I will try. Normally it's a sea of golden grass, but the zebra have taken over this lovely landscape. It's quite nice, and starting to look a little bit more like when I first arrived in the Mara, except we're missing a couple of hundred zebra. But it's a massive herd, and I did say though, with all the rain that we have been having, all this grass that's going to go nice and green, the animals are just going to follow it. So we're seeing a lot more animals around and just below camp, around the escarpment, which is perfect. But it isn't just the zebra. It looks like there's some Coke's hartebeest as well, just off to the left. We'll have a very quick look at them. Cool bird.
This is the first time I have seen a rosy-breasted longclaw in all my months in the Mara, and what a awesome little bird it is. As you can see, it does have a very beautiful rosy breast as well as a rosy. Its cousin, the yellow-throated longclaw, is also very impressive. We get a lot more of those around here, and very happy that I've managed. It's been an incredible few months in the Mara. So sad to go, but very excited to be heading to. And also very much looking forward to from my time with Safari Live before. And its partner, or possibly an enemy. It was chasing it off from its turf. Great, well, I'm sure a lot of you enjoyed adding that one to your bird list. I don't think any of us managed to show you one of those. I remember James was looking for one day. I remember, well, kind of semi-remember that. I'm not sure if one was actually found though. So it could be a first, the Safari Live first. If so, I'll add the rosy-breasted longclaw to my trophy cabinet of Safari Live firsts. Taylor recently got a very big trophy, the Nari. I'm happy that it's in her cabinet. And this has kind of spurred me on towards trying to get you a better view of the African blue flycatcher. Glimpses of them, but haven't really had a cracker of a sighting yet. So How much time have we got? Oh, time is a little bit against us. But maybe I will be able to make it up into an area where we can possibly find them. If not, we might be able to go and search a monkey have been sighted in. I got a glimpse of them the other day, but didn't manage to get them on camera for you. Long claw. In front of us. And it's been such. The last few days really have been mind-boggling. We've seen so much cool action. For those of you who missed out on the update, that we witnessed the two sister cheetah eat 5 baby Thompson's gazelle from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They probably got going between. Crazy. So, and the list goes on. Hi Joy, you'd like to know if the rosy-breasted longclaw is different to the rosy-throated, and I'm not entirely sure. I think you may get a rosy-throated down in South Africa, where it's just the throat and not the breast. So there could be 2 different types, or it could have just been a name change, which does so often happen with the birds. Look for you. There are evidently 5 types. Breasted being one of them, the one you're looking at. Then you get the Pangani longclaw, which also looks quite impressive. Horns and the yellow-throated all look fairly similar-ish, I guess. But yeah, no sign. You see here, it said a previous name for the rosy-breasted longclaw is the pink-throated longclaw. So who knows? Might have to do a bit of research there. But it sounds like it could be the same bird, to be honest. I'm guessing. Very good. We are going to send you back to Taylor Jane McCurdy for an update on her movements.
Look at what we've got in the very, very far distance. You'll have to look very carefully, of course, because we're about 30,000 kilometers away from these lions, but it is the Angama, aka the Olololo Pride. And it seems as though, well, the rumor on the block is that they killed a buffalo, which is pretty cool because every time I've ever seen them try and take a buffalo down, the tables are turned and the buffalo chase the lions around. So well done to this pride on successfully taking one down. It'll be a fantastic meal for so many lions, but unfortunately non-off-roading area and exceptionally far away, and one little cub just going out for a stroll. So I don't think that they're going to move for the next few days. They'll probably sit there. It's perfectly placed under some trees, so there'll be quite a bit of shade. Maybe we'll see some vultures hanging around over the next little bit, but I don't see any vultures in the sky at the moment or coming down to land on those trees. But very, very cool nonetheless. Let's see how many you can see. It is particularly far. Maybe I'll try with my binoculars and you can all count and look the other way. I can see 1 lioness, 2. Actually, there's a raptor sitting up on the top left tree. You can just see it. Very, very small. Unfortunately, we can't get a better view. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's probably going to be maybe a tawny eagle or something. But it's very hard to tell. Even with my binoculars, it's exceptionally far away. Oh, no, I don't think the whole pride is there at the moment. Maybe some of them have gone off to go and have a drink. They wouldn't have to go very far. Let's go down a little bit further. Let's just go over this rise and see what's happening. I don't think going down this way is going to get us any closer to the lions, because this road does sort of veer out and then only comes back So that's not going to help us, but maybe there'll be some others moving in the road. I thought I'd seen a lot of vehicles down here from a bit further up. Looking back across here, I can start to see more vehicles now. I'll pick up the pace just a little bit so we can get there a bit quicker. Ah, there's more lines. Now we're seeing more. That little crest was hiding them. Oh my gosh. Driving too fast. Okay. I'm gonna stop. I'm trying to pull off the road. Ah, there's obviously the... When did this happen? Okay, hang on, let's quickly look. There's a herd of buffalo moving away now from these lions. I wonder if this has just happened. Maybe early hours of this morning. They're a little bit far away, but I would assume that that's where the buffaloes come from. And then I can start to see more lions now to the right of where we initially had them, standing under small trees. Here we go, there's the rest of the pride. And there are a couple that are trying to drink water out of the puddles. Of course, some elephants. There's always elephants around here. And they must have had a big feed already. And the fact that they're starting to sit down, yeah, they've got big bellies. So they obviously killed it earlier. Maybe it isn't from the same herd. Maybe that's just another herd of buffalo that are passing by. But again, another eagle sitting in that tree. There must be tawny eagles. Tawny eagles are really good at them and battaliers, and are often the first ones around a kill site, and it normally attracts things like vultures. They're quite sneaky, so obviously just resting in the shade waiting for an opportunity to go down and nibble on the carcass. But now I don't know where the carcass actually is. I'm going to just have a look again with my binoculars. Oh no, so the buffalo carcass was where we first saw the lions. And there's one lion feeding on it at the moment. And here it is, that big white thing is actually the buffalo. So they've taken the skin off, which they normally do. They've opened up that carcass, and you can imagine when you've got, I don't know how many lions feeding, more than, there's 4 females and 12 cubs, so too many lions feeding on a buffalo carcass. They'll need to open it up quite a bit, whereas when you see 1 or 2 just feeding on a buffalo carcass, they might just nibble around the rump and that thing up. But they'll gobble that up quite quickly. I don't think it will last too long, maybe another day and a half, and then they'd the small carcass completely devouring it. I mean, they leave the scraps for the vultures and the hyenas and the jackals, and they come in. But now that food is not so plentiful, they might hold on to it a little bit longer. Oh my goodness, I feel as though there are some excuses coming our way. It seems as though Tristan is full of them this morning. Let's go and see why he did not change his tire.
Taylor Mac, that is very, very, very rich coming from you and your nail, hair, eyelash extension, whatever excuses that you started with for being late this morning. But yes, we can't change our tire because somebody has removed the spanner off the vehicle that is used to take the high lift jack off the car, and therefore, unless I magically lift the car up with my bare hands while Senzo takes the tire off, there's going to be no changing of any tire until such time as somebody brings us the spanner that we need to take the tires off, well, to take the high lift jack off. So anyway, it is the way it is. We'll just have to wait it out and see what happens. At least we're in a pretty spot to kind of sit and watch what goes on. And I think I've heard some elephants coming this way just now, so I wonder if maybe we're going to see them arriving at some point. The little crocodile babies, they didn't like me getting out the vehicle very much at all. They've all disappeared, and so it's all quite quiet at the moment. There's a bit of a kind of breeze that's kicked up. Like I say, it's quite windy actually up on Chitwa Dam Wall, and there's a few clouds starting to come in, so I wonder if maybe we're going to get some rain by this afternoon. I think it might be the case, but anyway, it's going to be nice just to sit at Chitwa Dam and take in all the views and the sights and the sounds, because at this stage of them, bless you, Senzo, you're right there. Are you okay? Yes, Senzo is okay. It's the wind apparently, so I can't change a tire because I don't have a spanner. Senzo's sneezing because of the wind. Well, it's all happening here at Chitwa Dam at this stage. But like I say, we are going to sit and try and just wait it out and see if we can find somebody. It is that time of the day for us to start heading home, so unfortunately, that's all it is from us this morning. Hopefully the Mara will look after you over the next half an hour as they negotiate that side of the world. But from myself and Senzo, we'll see you all this afternoon, and we shall be out and about. I think I'll be with Noel this afternoon from the Djuma side, so we'll see you all a little bit later. But enjoy the rest of your morning as, like I say, the Mara team takes you out for a morning drive, and hopefully there'll be lots of interesting things to come.
Some wonderful specimens of impala rams, and there've been a few of them strutting their stuff, letting out their strange burp-like. We're just going to give it a few minutes and see if a few others don't decide to do the same thing for us. It's the most bizarre thing to watch male impalas debating with one another as they run around wildly. I wonder if that guy's rubbing its orbital gland on a blade of grass there. They're not hugely known for doing it, the impalas, well, not as much as some of the other antelope, but maybe that is in fact. We're kind of making our way up the Olololo escarpment at the moment, which is what's allowing us these beautiful views. And we are hoping, like I said a bit earlier, to find all of you, as well as a better visual of an African blue flycatcher, and all of which we can find in the little forests that follow the small rivers that run down into the Mara from this catchment area. Well, there are also some impala on our right-hand side that have just got up, and I'm wondering if they're gonna catch up with the others. Looks like this individual closest to us has stopped for a little bit of a toilet break. Come on, take us for a run. Oh no, it seems like he's on the go slow. This is where the others that we were showing you initially came from. I don't think we're going to have too much luck here. Looks like he's getting himself ready. Hello, Nita. Regarding the length of these impala's horns, and no, it certainly isn't. This is a northern subspecies that you start getting from, I think from Tanzania upwards, you start getting impressive than the southern subspecies. That's what we were hoping for. Woohoo! Beautiful. I'd love to be able to run on 4 legs at high speeds like most of the animals here can. Guess not always, otherwise it would be a bit awkward if you saw me running around on all 4s, but just to experience what it feels like. Ideally, I'd climb into the body of a cheetah. Imagine how cool that would be. I think it would be very cool. Or to be able to leopard crawl like a leopard would also be something quite nice. Good party trick. Very good. We are going to send you back to Taylor, and the next time you join us, hopefully we will be considerably higher up the escarpment in some thick forest vegetation.
Scott, why on earth would you want to walk around on all 4s? Oh, I lie. I could think. Changed remark. I actually then. Because they were too far away, and it wasn't particularly nice. They looked like they were all getting flat and ready to just relax. Don't drive a road now. Actually, I need to pick up the pace. Last time, because I'm not going to do it for about 2 weeks, so I'm going to miss it. So might as well main road, so I can go the speed limit now. You can't go the speed limit on some of those other smaller roads. It'd be dangerous. You'd just be in the sky, you'd be flying, you'd be hitting so many bumps and ramping. But these roads are okay. They maintain them often. We've actually passed the tractors quite a few times as they've been plugging up some holes. The only thing though is I don't know how much thought there was. I know how important the drains and are, and we don't want the water staying on the road. But these are like little death traps. And we were telling you the other day how you slide into them. Actually, I might be able to show you my although no, we've had some rain, so maybe you won't see where I slipped in. Let's see. Further down. Hang on, let me see. But further on still, Jar's pointing, saying that way. Okay, I'm we just slid straight down. Yeah, there's part of it. I think that's where we got out. I just saw some rats, and we've have had I think maybe else's recent tracks. No one slid down there. Aww, because it's quite funny to see actually. But oh, here we go. Did someone go down here recently? No, they were lucky. I was in here. I was driving down in here. Way now. Let me go a little bit quicker. Also, my brakes are very squeaky today. No, that's a bit sad. Okay, well, as we drive, I'll see if I can manage to pick it up. But I think what's happened is that the amount of rain that we have had has just completely wiped the roads clean, not queen, and now you can't see my tracks. Okay, I'm heading almost at the forest road. Maybe we'll find an African blue flycatcher before Scott can. That could also happen. It could be the case because we are heading towards the bridge, and we know that that's where they like to hang around. Maybe Scott will even get an arena Trogan. That would be quite nice, because he's definitely not going back to. Okay. Is that here? Oh no. Everybody, it seems as though the gremlins are just attacking us too much today for us to continue. So I'm very sorry, but we are going to end a little bit earlier today. But I hope that you've enjoyed it. Nonetheless, it has been loads and loads of fun. And then I'll just say goodbye on Scott's behalf as well, because Scott's going to be heading back to South Africa. I think he's having a little bit of leave before he gets down there. So you shall see him in a few weeks. I think he's going to Cape Town. I'm not just making up areas that he's heading to. I'm December, but I'm very excited. Jamie and Brent will be back today, and Scott, and of course James is on his way back to South Africa. Anyways, from all of us here at the Wild Earth Safari. Oh no, I'm confused. That was awkward. Apparently you've still got 30 seconds. Didn't quite realize that that was happening. I must have missed some comms there. So I'll just carry on talking now for a little bit longer. And what else am I going to do? I'm going to learn to kite surf. I'm going to go snorkeling at the marine park. I'm not sure what's happening. Are we still doing the countdown, Alice? I just got 30 seconds and then...